I just turned 32 years old, and if I could sit down with the 22-year-old version of myself, I would have a few things to say. And it's not because the 22-year-old me was a bad guy. He wasn't. He was just lost, finding his way, doing what he thought he was supposed to be doing. But I look back now, 10 years later, and I see a young man who was just avoiding himself, filling voids and playing roles he wasn't ready for. So here's 5 things I'll tell him. 5 things I know that would have saved me a lot of time, a lot of pain, and a lot of running in circles. So let's get into it. Point 1, leave your home country now. If I could turn back time, I would have left my home country at 18 years old. I moved to Sydney, Australia from Auckland, New Zealand in 2024. I had just turned 30, it was the first start. And even though it's only a 3-hour flight between Australia and New Zealand, the difference in what I learned in 2 years just being here, I would have never gained that XP if I was still staying in my home country. There's just something about leaving your home. Distance forces you to see yourself without the props, see yourself without the same friends, the same streets, the same comfort zones. And yes, it is terrifying, but it's necessary in equal measures. I believe that world exposure is the fastest education. In a city as diverse and fast-paced as Sydney, you learn more about yourself in 2 years than you do in 10 years where everything feels safe and familiar. I really thought I was leaving NZ to chase opportunity. What I actually gained was perspective. And perspective is worth more than the comfort you have. So don't wait till you're 30, go now. Expose yourself to the world and allow it to expand you. Let it break the small version of you so the real version can stand up. Point 2, alcohol and drugs are not your friends. Growing up in Auckland, New Zealand, let me tell you something. Casually drinking 12 plus alcoholic beverages across the weekend with your mates, that's normal. It's not even questioned. Binge drinking is a well accepted social norm. It's just what we do. Throughout my 20s, that was my reality. Party, binge drink, weed, MDMA, cigarettes, the whole rotation. And I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I regret all those nights because I don't. They shaped me into the man I am today. But here's what I would tell my 22-year-old self. That life will make you older faster. It's a fast lane to getting out of shape. And we'll get to that. It'll slow you down and it becomes a vicious cycle if you don't put a lid on it. The truth is, I always had a feeling deep down that life wasn't meant for me and that I was going against my design low key. It was a sign and a voice I was avoiding. So I'll tell the 22-year-old version of myself to trust that voice and lean towards it, follow it. At 22 and wasted, I thought I was having a good time. At 32 and sober, I can tell you I was just avoiding myself. Lack of priorities, filling a void with poison. I even thought weed made me more creative. It didn't. It just made me more comfortable with being sheltered, hidden away from the great man I knew I needed to become. So all those vices, they weren't real friends. They were just fake company. Point 3, get in shape and stay there. This one, I would scream to my 22-year-old self. Get in shape and stay the fuck there. I had an on and off relationship with the gym since I was about 19. I'd get into really good shape, 6-8 months of consistency, then I'd fall back into old bad habits, then start over. This was a 10-year cycle for me, 10 years. Maturing in your health and fitness journey is understanding and accepting that real results take years and not months. Build that base, then maintain that rock. Because 2 years of focus and consistency with real results beats 10 years of on and off, half-hearted training with flat results every single time. Look, I started boxing at 31 years old and I absolutely love it. I absorb every hip because I know with every exchange, I'm only getting better. But to be honest, I wish I walked into that boxing club when I was 22 years old. 10 years of feeling weak is 10 years you don't get back. Health is wealth, bro. A fit, strong body tells the world that you're disciplined, determined, different, and dangerous without you even having to say a word. In other words, stop being a bitch. Point 4, stop playing house. I was in a long-term relationship in my early 20s, about 3-4 years. She moved in quick, that was my idea. I was 21 at the time, occupying the downstairs section of my grandma's house, aka I was living in the basement. She was a year or two younger than me. We were both young and naive. I did my best to express what my young mind's idea of love was at the time. And look, I can never speak against love. Relationships are important, but here's what I know now. Neither of us were ready for a full committed relationship. I wasn't equipped with the emotional intelligence to go the distance, not even close. And when it ended because of selfish and foolish mistakes that I have deeply learned from. What I would tell the 22-year-old me is this: express and embrace as much love as possible, yes, but don't be in a rush to settle too soon, especially when you haven't taken the necessary time to understand yourself first. Needing a girlfriend is actually not what you need in your life right now. I played husband without being one. I built emotional depth without foundation. And when it collapsed, I only collapsed because I had built on sand. I see that young man now, and I know what was really happening. I was afraid of being alone. I needed someone by my side for reassurance, a safety net, a crutch, some comfort. So listen here, young man. Take the time to understand and love yourself first. That's not selfish, that's necessary. Point 5, find God. This is the most important one to me. I saved it for last because it flows everything else in. I'm not here to preach, I'm just here to share my truth. As a Samoan man, my culture is very strong in its Christianity. Growing up, I attended both traditional Samoan churches and a modern Christian church. And honestly, I did not like going to church. It felt like another version of school I was kind of forced to go to. But I'm not talking about find God in a go church every Sunday kind of way. I don't consider myself a religious man at all. But since the age of about 28, something shifted spiritually. I built my own sense of relationship with God, the universe, a higher and inner intelligence that expands beyond my flesh. When I look back at my early 20s, I see a lost young man who thought he knew what he wanted. A lost young man trying to find his way. And all that young man needed was God. When I stopped trying to fix things externally, when I stopped being a slave to my flesh, my life started to shift for the better. And that's because I found something bigger than myself. A man who doesn't talk to God ends up listening to everybody else. And a man with no connection to God starts moving off impulse, falls into distractions, goes off course, and eventually crashes out. So I'll tell the 22-year-old version of myself to think and feel beyond the flesh. The inner world changes the outer one. Point number 2 with the drinking and drugs, that didn't stop because I became disciplined. It stopped because I found something bigger than myself. If you're 22 and you're watching this, or if you're 25 or 18, you're already ahead of where I was because you're hearing these things now. I had to live through 10 years of mistakes to learn them. If you're older than me, then you sure already know what's up. The point is not to regret the past. The point is to stop wasting the present. Whatever version of you is watching right now, you can start today. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. It's your boy Fred, aka It's Yours.